doesn't come out. That's why she loves it in there. But none of the minors that got stuck in there love it.
Possession of the truth, they have also their own mobile security troops. The Scientology sheriffs dress like police and follow you around step by step.
Sir, it's private property. Could I ask you to leave?
Yeah, it doesn't say private.
Oh, look at this little security guard. Isn't this Ben Lowry? Ben Lowry, the security guard, you guys. Another cadet that then was turned into this quasi-police. Didn't I tell you they go and train with ex-police officers to really cozy up with them and to really pretend that, you know, they have their own police force and we're just going to have two buddy-buddy police force. And aren't we such little buddy-buddies, all the police from the LAPD and all the police from the Clearwater PD who really, really, really are buddy-buddies with these people. They're so familiar. I mean, literally sleeping with the enemy.
As Hubbard said, true is what is true for you. He also thought that they...
As Hubbard said, true is what is true for you. I mean, yeah, you guys, thank you for pointing that another fake pitch that these people give to themselves. Well, it's true for us. So if children are adults, then it's true for us. So we can do whatever in the hell we want. L. Ron Hubbard told us to launder felonies. That's the technology we're using. We know what in the hell we're doing. Whatever's true to me, it's true to me. I mean, if that's the definition of truth, all of y'all have a lot of explaining to do because that means you are an infantile child. Only children would be like, whatever in the hell I think it's true, it is. If you're a kid and you believe like that, you're like, oh, how cute, how funny. Oh, you really just think that whatever you think is the truth is the truth. Okay, cool. That's great. So plenty pitches of that disgusting man giving his proteges and plenty pitches that were taken literally.
They were the only people on earth who have the right to punish. According to whose rules? According to Hubbard's rules, which are still rigidly kept today, 14 years after his death.
Oh my God, you guys, look at this kid right here. I was with this kid. His name is Mike. I'm not going to say his last name because, I don't know, just because
we're the
he was
only
a minor.
people on earth who have the right to punish. According to whose rules? According to Hubbard's rules, which are still rigidly kept today.
This kid right here that you see right behind the police guy is another minor recruited by Debbie Cook to become a course administrator. So he was the one that had to get us all the paper, all the clay, all the stuff, all the dolls that we had to use to groom the people that were doing the courses. But again, it's like our whole entire department was pretty much comprised of underage kids, the so-called training department. So in what world are you selling $10,000 courses to skip medical and law school altogether, Debbie Cook, and with a straight face, invoice those courses for 10 grand, and then here's your supervisor, a 15-year-old. 15-year-old? Oh yeah, but they're an adult. They're just an adult in a small body. You'll see. They're very, very good. And yes, you guys, we were very, very good. We had no choice. These people will slice our throat if we weren't good. They were deadly serious. Like L. Ron Hubbard says in Keeping Scientology working, because it doesn't work. You have to keep it working. We'd rather have you dead than incapable. Literal quote from indicted convicted felon L. Ron Hubbard, pitched as an American-bred god by the Tampa Bay Times and all the other newspapers that fell for the pathetic pitch put together by David, Marty, and Rinder. Isn't that great, you guys? That the critical thinking skills of the media could not be more pathetic if you literally pay them to be pathetic.
day, 14 years after his death. Even children cannot escape these regulations. They are made
Look at that, you
tractable with
guys.
psychological methods in the education
Look at the size of this kid, and I think that's... Look at the size of that kid. You guys, I think that Serial Balmelli, who was like an 11-year-old.
Over and over again, they are subjected to the same security questions. Has someone ordered you not to tell us something? Do you have a secret? Have you ever taken something which does not belong to you? Have you ever hurt yourself to cause others anxiety? Have you ever done something which you have had to be ashamed of?
Have you ever done something you had to be ashamed of? So by all means, you guys, think about you sitting in a room. You are literally 12 years old. You're literally totally sort of like awestruck because, again, the grandiosity of the hotel, everything looks so grandiose and polished and Disneylandish on purpose. So you don't suspect that you're about to get literally F the F up. So there you are, being asked, is there something you're ashamed of? And as a kid, you don't even want to be asked those questions. You think it's stupid. Like, what the fuck am I being asked this question? So you're like, no. I'll repeat the auditing question. Take another look. Take another look. No, I'm not ashamed of anything. I'm fine. I don't want to talk about this anymore. Well, we're going to have to find out what you really are ashamed of. So I'm going to repeat the question again to you. What are you ashamed of? Have you done something you should be ashamed of? What is it that you're thinking about? What are you thinking about right now? What do you think? What's that? What's that? What's that? In what world is that disgusting depravity a religious experience, you guys? Children couldn't put the cans down. Children couldn't say stop. Children couldn't say no. Children couldn't say shit. We had to sit there and take it for hours and hours ad nauseum, being driven. Let's go start another chain. That would start another chain. That would check another question. And they couldn't be confusing us more. Telling us to think of another lifetime where you really did do something. If this question doesn't apply to you right now, well, take a look at another lifetime. Figure it out. Figure it out. And it's just gross. Grotesque AF.
Have you ever done anything criminal? Have you ever knocked down a smaller child? Have you ever
done anything criminal? You guys, I mean... So, yeah, Mike Rinder, why in the hell were you all into asking little girls and little boys if they ever had done something criminal? Since you were doing things that were criminal, since you literally had policies in your stupid office that you founded, Office of Special Affairs, a real fancy title, you guys. Give it up to Mike Rinder, who can make shit appear nice. The Office of Completely Corrupt, Unhinged, Depraved, Willing to be Felons is just called the Office of Special Affairs. Isn't that great? Doesn't that sound so much better? Doesn't it sound so much better if every time a child gets essayed, we just are calling it out 2D? All manner of rearrangement of words to just sanitize. As long as they sprinkled their little L. Ron Hubbard pitch on shit, they were deluded enough to pretend that, yeah, my shit doesn't stink. This piece of shit that I'm putting on the platter is not a piece of shit, is whatever delusion they were feeding themselves. So in what world are kids being interrogated and asked if they've ever committed a crime? Because that is what in the hell these people were asking us inside of those hotels. And why were we being asked for crimes when we know today, as of this year 2024, It couldn't be more clear who in the hell was committing the criminal activity.
Been ashamed of your parents? Have you ever betrayed a secret which was entrusted to you?
Have you ever betrayed a secret which was entrusted to you? So for all of you who really think that there is no going lower with these people, you have it right there. Oh yeah, you're an auditor? Okay, great. Go ask that person if they've ever committed a crime. Oh, now you're their auditor. Oh, now keep that secret. Oh, now it's just between you and him, okay? Don't tell anybody. You promise never to tell anybody. You promise never to tell anyone that that person went around essaying 8 other kids. You promise, right? Because you are an auditor and you can launder this felony because you did do technology that is going to really teach you that. So we are getting into the weeds of what Scientology is, you guys. This is what it is. This is what it is. This is what makes no shred of sense. In what world is a child locked up in a hotel, unable to leave, being asked these type of disgusting, incriminating, unhinged? I mean, what is this? Is this a deposition? Like, in what world are kids being asked for crimes to incriminate themselves, being deposed with no attorney, with no parent, with no one around to check these MFers, to tell them to go to hell, to tell them to stop abusing kids because their advocacy is nowhere to be found? 2024 is the year, you guys, in case none of you celebrated New Year's. 2024, and kids are still being asked these horrendous, disgusting questions. They're still getting deposed without lawyers. They're still being asked to get incriminated because the Fifth Amendment right doesn't apply to kids. Kids can be incriminated, and who cares?
Have you ever been a coward? Have you spied on your friends?
Well done, Hubbard. I mean, look
Correct answers mean happy faces. But
look at the ages of these girls, you guys. I mean, just let it really fully sink in, because these are all the kids. Super young. You see the first 2 ones here, they look so young. And the problem is, remember, most of them start so young, and if you see them a little older, it's only because they've been already there for 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years. Because, yeah, breaking news, all Scientology executives like them young. Very much like Jeffrey Epstein. You know how he liked them young? Well, you know what? All the executives, the women and the men, don't think it was just the men, you guys. Do not for a second think that inside of these hotels is a male or female problem. They're both utterly deranged. They both go around pretending all of these kids were not kids. All of these kids were adults. All of these kids can get locked up against their will, and we will shit on them if they complain. And we will abuse them more until they stop complaining and just take it. So would love to hear from you, Marty Rathbun, and from you, Mike Rinder, why all these kids were being treated like that. Right about now, we really need to start understanding something, because the more we watch, the more shit is not making a shred of sense.
the fun stops for these children with failure.
There's Serial Ball Melly, you guys. And I think right behind him is Ryan Arbuckle. And I can't recognize that other one over there. But that's Serial. And he's a kid trafficked from Switzerland. His little mother, Barbara, dumped him there at the hotel. Barbara was this woman that was literally looking for rich men to marry. So she didn't end up marrying Roberto Santos, a Mexican millionaire. And she literally gave her 11-year-old to Angie Blankenship this time. So don't think it was just Debbie Cook that was into liking them young. Angie Blankenship loved the young. In fact, Angie Blankenship had her entire organization, smaller than Debbie Cook, mind you. But Angie Blankenship's was like top to bottom minors, maybe 85% minors and 15% adults. Think about that. Angie Blankenship currently left the hotels, you guys, but don't worry, she's living it up in Clearwater Beach. Living it up. I mean, Aaron has already done some videos on her. Her drunk ass came to him at a bar, and allegedly she was like, I know all the dirt that Dave has. I can sink him, but I'm getting paid. So, yeah. So, when you see Angie Blankenship frolicking around Clearwater, know that she is also another Ghislaine Maxwell on steroids and crack and coke and every last type of delusional thing that woman has to do to literally take breaths every day, to really pretend, to really become senile of all the disgusting things she was all about for 20 plus years. Angie Blankenship, a top slave owner. All executives were slave owners, you guys. None of them were not slave owners. You cannot be, like Jesse Prince already told us, an executive and not be willing to commit criminal activity, because that's the bonding part. That's the thing that really bonds them all together. Isn't that great, you guys? Nothing like conspiring to commit felonies to really bond these people so close, so tight. Oh no, we're not going to rat you out, David. We'll just complain. We'll just give all the paperclip withholds the media wants to hear so we secure our payment program for ourselves. Don't worry. We are not going to come clean. We are not going to self-confess. We are not going to try to get any of the law enforcement agencies involved, because heaven forbid they find out that we were traffickers ourselves. We don't want that. We don't want to be Ghislaine's. I mean, we want to be Ghislaine's, but Ghislaine before she got arrested, that's who we want to be. And that's who they are, you guys. They're all just a bunch of Ghislaine's out there holding parties and, you know, living it up AF. Living it up AF without a shred of consideration or thought or anything. Oh, I did that so long ago. I was really trying to help the world. I sacrificed myself so much. One day I'm going to read you guys what Angie Blankenship sent me on Facebook Messenger, just so you can see how out of her mind she really was. But don't worry, I put her right in her place very, very quickly. And her head was the one that was spinning this time, not mine. As much as that woman made my head spin when I was there, a child, completely not able to talk back at her. Because, you know, Angie didn't like being talked back. If you backflashed Angie, she would go from 0 to 100 quickly than a Tesla. So crazy ass, deranged AF, Angie Blankenship. I hope these videos start arriving to your ears. And I hope you really start processing your trauma right along with all of us here. Because these videos, if nothing else, you guys, will restimulate all of these executives, will out them AF. They have no place to hide. They have no defense. They have none. Literally, the only defense they have is to plead insanity. That's their only defense. According to me, who grew up in a cult and who has not a shred of a clue what in the hell I'm talking about since I only finished 7th grade. Thanks to Mike Rinder, Marty Rathbun, Angie Blankenship, Debbie Cook, and all of those clowns.
And disobedience.
Look at the age. Look at the size, you guys.
By 1976, on instructions from Hubbard, the first children's RPF was established in Los Angeles. No time off for play, but a children's prison camp with absolute obedience as its goal. One of the reasons for the camp for children was stated in this document. Make it clear to the children.
And you guys, just so you see here where it says all PAC staff, okay, just so you know, and just so we have the receipt. So if ever any of these Sea Org executives want to go, but I had no short of a clue that there was an RPF for kids, all PAC staff. You see this paper here? Guess what these people would do? Every person had a basket. That's how they would get their mail. You don't have your own basket because you have no address, but there was a big room full of baskets. And that's how they would inform you of what's going on. And that's what they would inform you of all the memos that were being put out so that everybody's on the same page. I already told you guys how these people operate, knowing what each other is doing and thinking and coordinating thereby and therewith. So since they did take that definition very serious, that little definition also tells us that they were in a conspiracy, committing daily criminal activity together, all of them inside of the hotel. Stop telling us that it was that one and not this one and this one here and I'm good and you. No, all of them together. They all stood for it. They are all still standing for it. There is no examples of actual repudiation of what in the hell they have done. Nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be thinking about it. You know, it's all about the adult problems that, you know, they really ran into with David Miscavige. It was just so hard to be David's bitch. It's all we get.
That any form of vandalism, theft, and any other crime committed by a child will be punished by the RPF under aggravated conditions.
Make it clear to the children that any form of vandalism, theft, or any other crime committed by a child will be punished by placing that child in the RPF under severe restrictions, you guys. So going back to the wonderful deadbeat Sea Org member parents that were fully CC'd on this directive, that were full knowing that they were neglecting their kids AF, that their kids were in an infested roach motel. Neglected AF, no one gave an F about them. But oh yeah, don't vandalize or we will put you in the RPF. Oh yeah, don't commit any other crimes because we will interrogate you, make you self-incriminate against your Fifth Amendment right that we don't give a shred of an F inside of the hotel. Make you have no attorney when you're getting deposed by our disgusting, ridiculous, deposing situationships. Criminals are treated better than children inside of these hotels in America, you guys. That is not hyperbole. That is not my opinion. If a criminal is getting deposed for 5 hours, they are allowed to have an advocate next to them for the full 5 hours. The Scientology executives didn't give a shred of an F about making any of those kind of exceptions. So let that really fully sink in, that kids are getting deposed. In what world are you being asked, have you committed any crime as a child? And that's not a deposition. I mean, even in depositions, you guys, they can't even ask those type of self-incriminating questions. Because then your advocate would be like, objection, you can't be asking my client if he's self-incriminate. That's against Fifth Amendment. Like, shut the F up, don't answer anything, and next question. You can't ask that. Oh no, but in Scientology, you can ask that. In Scientology, you would have put me as the child and my head would have been put on a pike if I didn't ask that. Or if I missed that they committed a crime for which they have not been arrested. So, yeah, it really did suck to be us inside of those hotels, you guys, in case it ain't clear. These receipts could not be more egregious and disgusting and make us have 1,000 more questions today than we had yesterday, because the receipts speak for themselves. The L. Ron Hubbard speaks for itself. The rhetoric is what it is. Right, guys? The rhetoric is what it says. Make it clear to the children that any form of vandalism, theft, or any other crime committed by a child will be punished by placing that child in the RPF under severe restrictions. Well, that was my formative years, you guys. From 16 to 18, that was me, except that I wasn't placed in the kids' RPF. Oh no, don't get that shit twisted. I was placed in the adult RPF with self-admitted pedos running around. With me having to sit in front of this disgusting man telling me every day how he was jerking off thinking about me and how he was my husband in another lifetime, and I had to sit there for 5 hours every single day with Debbie Cook, full knowing, with Marty Rathbun, full knowing, with Mike Rinder, full knowing. They all knew they were operating these children's holes. The version of the hole that got instituted on them as adults at the very end of their little, amazing career as slave owners is what they were doing to kids. But you know what? They didn't think that the Tampa Bay Times wanted to hear about that. They really thought Tampa Bay Times wants to hear about David beating us up and humiliating us and putting Debbie Cook in a trash can. I'm glad that Debbie Cook got put in a trash can, you guys. I am so glad that that woman finally got put in her place at the end of her little deluded career. She finally found her place, and then she didn't like it. Isn't that great? Finally, she gets put in her place. Finally, she's in a literal trash can. And then she's like, oh no, this is too much. Give me my $100,000. I'm out of here. And then when 4 years later, her little $100,000 ran out, let me type a little email to violate my NDA so that I can, litigate again. And that's exactly what Debbie Cook did. Okay, 4 years later, she ran out of the $100K. The only person that we know of, guys, that left with $100K, no child ever left the hotels with $100K. We all left with bills. I left with $100K bill, not cash in my pocket, a bill that I literally paid. So
I knew that rather than Scientology being the answer and healing people and giving them greater abilities and making them better humans, it was completely abusive and had no other purpose than to dominate and control people and make buckets of money.
yeah. And then they expose all the kids to that dominating environment, right? Gary Armstrong, confidant of L. Ron Hubbard. Your little guru didn't tell you that kids were just adults in small bodies? When his own son died in the desert alone, desperate. So, but again, you guys, it was only until little Gary Armstrong ran into the RPF as the founding father of it, as he says he was, that he really thought, oh, let me whistle blow and only advocate for themselves and only pitch themselves as the victims and never confess to a single done. What did you all do? Stop. David, oh. What did you do with your own two hands, yourselves? What could be so hard of this pathetic press to pull this string, you guys? In what world? I mean, I tell you, like, if we would have investigated things ourselves inside of that hotel with this level of sloppiness, carelessness, our heads would have been chopped into pieces. But apparently, all of the corporate media, all the people that ask all the wrong questions and go and cradle and canoodle every last consenting adult that signed up to be part of the hotel, that paid to be part of the hotel, that literally bought the pitch by paying cash. Oh, here's some cash for this pitch. Let me grab the pitch. Oh, wow. Kids are just adults in small bodies. Oh, okay, great. Best $100 I ever spent, L. Ron Hubbard. Thank you. Thank you for telling me that. Cameras everywhere. Motion detectors everywhere.